And let's get started. Andalip, I hand the mic to you to introduce yourself to our gathering for the day.
Thank you, Priya. It's a pleasure for me to join Clubhouse every session. And today I'm very interesting to share my knowledge and experience for my ambition. And I'm really exciting to hear about you and welcome you all. Stay with us. And I'm Andali. I'm a counseling psychologist and trainer of neurolinguistic programming. And I'm so excited to have you all over here. And hopefully, we are going to have a very nice chat. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. Andalip, thank you so much. And is there anything else more you'd like to share about your work and what you do? Um,
uh, Priya, that as I shared that I have a passion. I have a passion in mental health field, and I feel that mental health is a health. That is no health without mental health, and mental health is for everyone. Each and everyone, we have our mental health, and staying in a good health related with our psychological health and also as well as physical health. So my work is with this mental health and psychological health, and I'm very enjoy because every people when we do any kind of work, we require this stable position for us. And when we are in stable position, we can see our goal, our future, and also our ambition. And that today our topic is firing up our ambition, and that is very much related with my sector as a psychologist, because these are the issues we are sometimes struggling. They sometimes fail to identify what's our ambition, but these are the issues which will help us to grow and flourishing more. So let's chat about this. Let's talk about this, Priya.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I love that you brought in the concept of growth, which ambition enhances, right? Connecting with one's ambition enhances. And thank you for bringing in the perspective of psychology to our chat today. On my side, I am the founder and life coach with Intentional Coaching, which can be reached at intentionalcoaching.online, where we practice one on one coaching to help people operate from a space of higher purpose and intentionality. I'm also an NLP trainer and master practitioner. And like Andalib, I love employing all these tools in order to help me and to help others connect with the resources that we have within us, resources that are just waiting to be tapped, that we have already tapped, but now which we are planning to mindfully tap into in order to enhance the quality of our day to day living. So, yes, so we're now done with the introductions. And I would love to now start off with the first question of the day to get everyone on the same page. Um, Andalib, I'll ask the first question to you. What is ambition for you?
Okay. Ambition. So without ambition, I'm nothing. Every day, each moment, I have my ambition. It is my experience, and my ambition right now. If I'm telling that I'm passionate about mental health, so I want to establish a school or an institute where we will work together for mental health for every people, each and every people in the community. And that is my ambition, and behind this ambition I think that there are lots of goals. I have small goals, small steps I have to take for this bigger ambition. And this ambition is something like me for a is for my life, and I'm living in it. Truly
Yeah.
speaking, without ambition, I'm not. I will lost the meaning of my life. I will lost the meaning to grow or looking forward to the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I can see how you operate from this powerful place where, I detected the I am phrase. You mentioned, without ambition, I am nothing. I can see how it is such an immersive state for you. And you connected it to your growth, you connected it to the larger vision of spreading mental health to your community. It is so empowering to hear you and your relationship with the state of ambition. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Andalib. And I'll now move on to other people around the roundtable. Moving on to Mehek. Mehek, would you like to answer the simple question: what is ambition for you?
At the moment, Priya, I am slightly confused about how would you distinguish between an ambition and a goal? It's like maybe ambition is something achieved and to be worked for, and so is the goal. I mean, this thought just came up to me. How do we distinguish between the two?
I understand. I understand. So you mentioned that you're not able to see the distinction between ambition and goal,
Right.
right? So when you say these words out loud, perhaps you could just share what comes to mind. That's a good start. It's a simple but good start to lightly connect with this topic for today. When you say ambition and goal, one after the other, what comes to mind?
So, what comes to my mind as you put the question across now is ambition may be more related to our academic and professional life, so to say,
Mhm.
whereas goals could be personal goals as well, family goals, personal goals, etc. I mean,
Right.
goal to whatever, trek Mount Everest, etc. I mean, just a random example.
Mhm. That's amazing.
Whereas ambition is like, okay, I need to get XYZ degrees. I need to complete my education, have a master's or PhD or whatever,
Mhm.
and get admission to a particular university and get a particular job with a particular well-known company or get promoted, I mean, etc., etc., so on and so forth.
So I noticed something very interesting that happened there. As you started to slowly unpack, with language, these two words, were you aware that you were getting more and more specific when you started unpacking ambition? You mentioned specific goals, but then when you started talking about ambition, you started getting a lot more chunked down to very specific details there. And that is something interesting, right? That happens when we ask ourselves the question, what is ambition for me? Right? So
True.
what so what we can do, what I would suggest you do is continue to let that sit in your mind, be curious, be open. And I'm sure as we proceed with the questions, you're going to be surprised by what more comes up. And I promise you, this is you speaking to you, and it's going to be very powerful when that starts to flow. So, and I think it's a great start. So, thank you, Mehak. And now,
Thanks, Priya.
yeah, and Kareen, I invite you to share what comes to you when I ask the question, "What is ambition for you?"
I'm just going to share my thoughts on what is ambition for me. I mean, probably I can go deeper later because I love unpacking the structure of something like this in NLP also, and how we can be more ambitious. But just generally spoken, for me, ambition is something like a really big picture purpose vision. A lot, when I relate a lot to what Andalip also shared, important about it is growth. So
Mhm.
there's a movement from where I am right now, and then having an ambition is a growing, is a moving towards
I love that.
an important aspect about it for me, and that also brings in, or is maybe one answer, at least the answer that I have found for myself to Mehek's question: what's the difference between a goal and a wish? Between a goal and ambition. So for me personally, when I think of a goal, then this is something very specific, clear defined, where I know specific steps to take on. Whereas when I think of what is an ambition for me, it's much more vague on one hand, so not so clear defined yet, but also I can dream, I can think really big. It's more a mindset even for me, or a state of being, of seeing potential and seeing excellence, having the trust of that excellence where I want to go, without yet knowing the exact plan how to reach it. So that's how I would distinguish it.
So it's a state, it's a desire for moving towards excellence. Um, Please do correct me if I don't match what you just shared. And you mentioned that a goal is a lot more specific. Ambition is a sort of a, maybe you could explain that a little more. You mentioned vagueness, right? You did, the word vagueness came up. So could you unpack a little bit of that part of what you shared? I think I'd love to learn more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, of course, everyone has its own definition of it. So I'm just sharing what it means to me. But the ambition, which is much more vague, not in a negative way, vague in a way of, yeah, like I said, it's more a mindset or a state of being where there's not yet very clear how exactly I will get to that desire. Whereas with a goal, for me, when I set a goal, then I'm a very structured person. I have a plan. I know these are the steps to do. These are the skills that I need. Yeah, and having an ambition is for me really dreaming big, having a large vision, maybe even a vision for life, which can be, and that's what I call vague. It's not clear defined, probably. It's very, yeah, even like I said, where I can really dream big, I can see excellence, a potential which might be out there without yet losing myself in specific planning for a goal.
That's amazing. That's a great share, Karine. And it's a sort of a state of ambition where you mentioned a vision. There's something you can see, a state of something that connotes excellence. And the specificity is something that I think you mentioned is not yet there yet. And yet there's so much that you shared in terms of a vision. So that's a very interesting aspect that you shared there. And I'll now come to Mr. KP.
I like what Karine just mentioned about thinking big. But for the topic of ambition, I think from my perspective, what is important is creating something that's very meaningful. Hopefully, something that lasts much beyond my lifetime. It's something that you're remembered by. So that would be the notion of ambition for me.
Talking about a vision much larger than yourself, something that lasts beyond your lifetime. Excellent. And I'll now move on to someone new who has joined our roundtable, Shweta. Shweta, welcome to the roundtable chat. The topic we're unpacking today is on the subject of ambition. And we're starting off with a very simple question. What is ambition for you?
Hi, Priya. Thanks,
Hi.
thanks for inviting me to this roundtable chat. It's a great
Absolutely.
topic. Yeah. So, ambition to me is maybe somewhat synonymous with the words goal or purpose.
Yes.
I think ambition is something that drives you towards achieving your goal.
Yeah, so we all have different relationships with the concept of ambition. So in this case, it's very specific to you, to your map of the world.
Right.
So yeah, you mentioned a drive, you mentioned something that moves you towards a goal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I think for me, ambition is sort of like a well laid out plan to achieve your goal or your dream. So that's what it means for me.
excellent. So we have heard a new concept brought to the table here, a well laid out plan. That's interesting. Uh, so, in case I want to see if everyone else is noticing a pattern here, the differing relationships everyone has with the idea of ambition. So, the word goal has come up a couple of times. For some people, the goal is distinct from the idea of ambition, as we learned from Mehek. For Kareen, the goal is something that seems a lot more. A goal connotes specificity, similar to what Mehek said. Ambition, on the other hand, is a state that she mentioned that allows one, that involves a moving towards excellence. These were phrases that stood out for me from what she said. KP mentioned a vision, leaving something beyond his lifetime, chunking it up to a purpose much larger than who he is and what he's defined by. And he mentioned the word meaningful. And Shweta mentioned a well laid out plan, which is very interesting. Fabulous. And Andalib, in your case as well, like KP, you mentioned a larger vision of that goes beyond you to mental, spreading mental health. And you mentioned that without ambition, you don't exist. Very powerful, assertive statement there. Um, for me, ambition is a driving force in my heart. I feel it at a physical level. It consumes me. It it shapes everything I see, think, and do. It even affects my dreams when I sleep. It's a state, and and it's something that is related to my value system. So. I identified very strongly, for instance, when Andalip said, "Without ambition, I'm nothing." And what I will do is I'll state a similar version to that, statement to that. With ambition, I'm everything. So that is how I would relate to the concept of ambition. So I think this roundtable is off to a great start. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you for putting all these different variables on the table. And I would love to move on now to the next question. Um, we'll go around again in a similar order. What's stopping you from reaching your state of ambition? Uh, Maybe perhaps now you have ambition going within you, but what has ever stopped you from reaching your state of ambition as you know it? I invite people to just put some things on the table regarding when something stopped them from reaching a state of ambition.
Yeah, I can go first because
Sure.
I can hold myself to share that. For me, it's my bigger fear. I think when I'm anxious, I'm in a state of my fear. That's stopping me to reach my ambition. Because this fear is fear of unknown, fear of
Hmm.
taking any steps in life. When KP, Meher, Karen sharing about the desire, the words, the jargons, no, the desire, goal, vision, purpose. These are all, for me, these are all the synonyms of ambition. But for
Hmm.
stopping me, when you say the first word comes in my mind, that is fear.
I see. I
That's
see.
stopping me to reach my goal or ambition. Whatever we say, that the desire, goal, ambition, or the bigger purpose. And
Nice.
this fear comes, it's just fear is not comes from outside, it's really is into me. It's just a fear that is I have the color about that, as you say that you have the color, the place, your ambition. Same way, when I'm thinking about my fear, then I'm thinking that it has a color, it has a shape, and it's just in my brain, and it's also pulling me down to not taking any step towards my ambition.
That is so fascinating. Yeah, and I love that you took the extra effort to define the aspect of fear that you mentioned, that you consider as an obstacle or an interference with your ambition, your state of ambition. You mentioned you gave it a color, you gave it a shape, you gave it a location within your body, you tied it into your to your somatic state. So I thought that was really an interesting aspect to the obstacles to ambition that you placed on the table. So thank you for that share, Andalib.
Yeah, Priya, I can share some examples in my life, what stopped me from reaching my ambition or being in that ambitious state. I think one big thing, and maybe many of you guys can relate to it, is having ambition can be affected or impacted by other people as well. Like I'm quite a quiet, or let's say introvert person, where I know what I'm able, and I know what I can learn and grow and so on. And I sometimes, especially in my job as financial controller, I experienced that me knowing what is my potential and my ambitions is not always in line with how other people see me, since I hold back sometimes, right? I'm not the one who shares with everyone what I'm able to do and what I would, what could be ambitious. So that, and in NLP we call it external reference. So listening to people around us, what is that they see in me, or what's the excellence or the not existing excellence. So they wouldn't necessarily have the idea of their goals or that ambition that I have. So I realized that listening too much to others, that external reference, held me back to have ambitions. And when I realized that and changed it, it changed a lot for me. So me knowing internally within myself what are the ambitions I want to work towards, without even not really affecting me what other people think, changed my career a lot. So I was applying for a next career step, which was more responsibility, higher position, because I thought I have ambitions and I'm able to do it. And I didn't listen to all the people who told me, no, that's not going to be possible, you're not going to reach that. And that was one example what stopped me. Another one, a more general thing, I believe, is really much to think in terms of not what I don't want, but shift the mindset to what is it that I want to achieve. So, some people tend more to pay attention to moving away from what we don't want in life, and being aware of, also in our language, it's often, you notice that when people say it's not what I don't want, what I not want, you hear that in these words. To shift that towards, okay, where I want to go? What is the goal? What is the ambition? So, and this automatically shifts the mind towards ambition instead of away from any challenges or problems which might come in the way of having these ambitions.
That's fascinating.
And then the third thing that comes to mind is really when the ambition, checking and making sure that the ambition is in line, and that's what you shared also, Priya, with the values.
Yeah.
So there might be, and I cannot think of a specific example, but I'm sure I had in the past examples where I had ambitions, and then when I really thought about it, what's important about it? So what are the values that are linked with it? I noticed maybe that's not supporting the values I have generally in life. So making an ecology check, if what's important about is what is the values that are in line with or not in line with the ambition. So this could be something that comes in a way. Yeah, so these are the three thoughts right now from my side.
No, it's wonderful. And thank you for bringing in the perspective of NLP as well. I love that you mentioned the external reference that happens with, when you're surrounded by people who you feel may not be on the same page as you. with regard to an ambition that you identify within yourself. That was a very, I can see that being something that can affect your ability to connect with your state of ambition. You also mentioned the values, the ecology check that you sometimes do about, which I think is a very NLP concept of, making sure that it's. I think you're an NLP master practitioner and a trainer, so I can understand how you're always in tune with your value system and ensuring that, and you're doing the ecology check constantly to make sure that you're in touch with your state and constantly revising it. I think these are incredible shares, Kareen. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So I thought I would share what, your question about what's stopping you from reaching your ambition. For me, I don't think, there's anything per se stopping you from achieving, your ambition. For me, I think ambition is constantly evolving. I think different stages of my life have led me to relook or even redefine the word ambition, you know. So, a shift on perspectives on success and happiness, for instance.
and you're very self-aware. You look at where you are in life and evaluate the nature of your ambition. That's amazing. Thank you.
Just a quick comment, and nothing in particular that stopped, but I think it greatly helps when you have a very supportive family or friend circle, or at work, partners or colleagues who share the same ambition and help you get there. So I think from a success perspective, I think that inner circle is crucial, and that's the one point I wanted to share.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that about the people around you, KP. That I thought that was a very interesting aspect that you brought in, which was also echoed by Kareem. Excellent. I see we have somebody else joining in, Sakshi. Let me see. Sakshi, I will wait for you to. Yes, there you go. Welcome, Sakshi, to the roundtable discussion about ambition. We've just completed sharing what ambition is for each of us, because we all have our own unique relationships with the concept of ambition or the state of ambition. I invite you to maybe unpack just a little what ambition is for you, and if you've ever experienced obstacles for you in terms of reaching your ambition.
Yeah, so thank you so much. And I was on the call since the last few minutes, but just that I joined the roundtable just now.
Thank you.
So when I was, listening to people talking about the obstacles, I actually never thought about it very consciously for myself. But yeah, you kind of made me think about it. And my immediate answer to this would be my biggest obstacle was me.
Hmm,
So
I
I
see.
take full responsibility of standing in the way of my ambition. When I say me, it's not because I didn't want to achieve something, it's more because I was so tied up with my day job, thinking about, how do I perform better today so that my next appraisal is good, so that I get promoted to the next level next year.
Hmm,
So what I realized was that, we often think short term.
hmm, yeah,
We think about our next appraisal, we think about our next promotion, just because we want to pay our bills, we want to survive,
yeah,
and we forget about what will actually make us happy in the long term. And
I see.
when I consciously started thinking about it,
Hmm,
that's when I found my answers, and that's also when I found my path.
hmm, hmm. I see. I see.
So,
Wow.
yeah, we don't really realize that it's not just a designation that will make us truly happy, because designations will keep changing, right? We often link our happiness, our achievements to something short term, to a designation, for example. But when I thought about myself, I thought that my ambition is beyond just a designation. It's something that is higher than me. It is something that gets me closer to my soul's purpose.
Hmm.
And when I realized that, I kind of realized that, oh, all this while I was standing in the way of my own ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you're sharing echoes what Mehek shared about, like Mehek, when she first entered the topic, she mentioned about seeing a distinction between a goal, which sounds to me like the short term goals that you just outlined, and ambition, which seemed a lot more chunked up for Mehek. And in your case, you're talking about the long vision, the long term vision. So I think thank you for bringing this dimension to the discussion, Sakshi. I think it adds a lot more food for thought when we contemplate what ambition is, what defines ambition for each of us, and what we can do with all these ideas in order to move forward in life and in and achieve what we can with this idea of ambition. So thank you so much, Sakshi. And I now just I'm just going to borrow Kareen's choice of word, the ecology check. In the spirit of that, what I'll do is I'll ask all of you just briefly to state in one word something that represents an ambition that you find yourself thinking about, dreaming about, feeling in yourself, in your soul. Maybe whatever word comes to mind that is closely linked to ambition for you, I encourage you all to state it out. Please go ahead. I'll wait. In my case, for instance, ambition for me, the word that comes to mind for me would be potential, my fullest. That's not one word, it's a concept, my fullest potential. I want to know I'm at my fullest potential as a life coach. That is my ambition. Anybody else would like to share what comes to mind for?
Yeah, for me, it would be a strong desire.
Is there anything a little more specific that comes to you, Shweta?
A very strong desire to achieve a particular objective, for instance.
That's a particular objective. Particular objective. That's a good combination of words there. Okay. Anybody else?
For me, it's achievement,
Achievement.
completing any desired goal.
Okay. Achievement and a desire for a goal. Is that what I heard you say, Andalip?
Completing the desired goal.
Okay. Achieving the desired goal. Okay. Shweta said the particular objective. Andalip said achieving a desired goal. In my case, it's hitting my fullest potential. Any more words that come to mind for anyone?
Yeah, in
Purpose.
my mind, I'm thinking of impact, Priya. Large impact. Yeah.
Large impact. That we are bringing in the ideas of scale. Okay, good. And I think Sakshi, I saw your mic flicker there.
Yeah, for me, it's purpose.
Purpose. All right. And Kareen, is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think what first comes to my mind is unlimited expansion.
Unlimited expansion. Unlimited expansion. That's amazing. Okay, good. So after that, I'm now going to ask you all what has to be true for you to know you have ambition? This is an interestingly worded question. I'll just repeat it again. What has to be true for you to know you have ambition?
Maybe peer recognition.
Peer recognition. All right.
And
Thank
for
you.
me, is true for me, it's myself. Is
Mhm.
physically and mentally aligned with my goal. Because when I'm saying that this is true for me, I can see, visualize my body language, my body, my facial expression, everything together. So when I'm aligned with my inner self and outer self, that is true for me.
Okay. Okay. So, when can you explain a little more about physical and mental alignment with your goal?
Of course, yeah, very interesting thing when you ask the question. This alignment is very important for me because when I'm internally, mentally, I speak something that yes, this is my ambition. I'm going to reach this.
Mm-hmm.
I observe that I have a change in my body.
I
Uh, that is a body posture, a confident body posture. That is a confident body posture. My voice, my tone, everything changed. So that is very alignment. That yes, I'm in a good space. These two things are connected to reach my ambition.
That's a
So my
great way to know that you have that it's true for you that you're in touch with your ambition when your body reflects it in terms of your posture and your state. Am I correct? Excellent. And Kareen, what has to be true for you to know you have ambition?
Yeah, I mean, I love or to just adding to what Andalip shared. Definitely for me, what needs to be true is to have an embodied experience. So, what does it mean to have an embodied experience of the ambition? To be able to imagine, to be able to step into, to see, to hear, to feel what it's going to be like to achieve that outcome. Without having that, it's just abstract. It's just something in my head. So I need to be able to really visualize, to imagine it. And I truly believe what I'm able to imagine, I'm also able to achieve. So this is one one thing. Then what I shared before is like the what needs to be true is that it's in line with my values. So just to check in what is generally important and my core values of connection, of growth, of peace, of
Yeah.
so several. It needs to be in line with it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think most importantly probably is just knowing myself and trusting myself. So without being connected to who I really am and trusting who I am without even knowing how I'm gonna achieve my goal, I would not know. It would not be true. So knowing myself, being connected with my true self, and trusting myself needs to be
Yeah.
true.
Fabulous, fabulous. I love how you mentioned things like moving from the abstract to the body to have an embodied experience in line with your values. And this is a very great way for you to do that ecology check that you had mentioned earlier yourself about knowing of that being true for you to know you have your ambition at hand. Excellent. And I see, Sakshi, perhaps you could also share what has to be true for you to know you have ambition.
So for me, it's the sense of fulfillment.
Hmm. Sense of fulfillment. And when you say sense of fulfillment, what is that?
So when I do something and it truly makes me feel that now I am fulfilled, that's when I will feel that, okay, this is what I always wanted to do because I'm truly fulfilled from inside out.
Hmm.
And
And-
that also comes from me asking myself, is this adding value to the life of other people? So
oh,
it's two
wow.
ways. Yeah,
Mhm.
if it adds value to the life of other people, whatever I'm doing, and at the same time, it also gives me a sense of fulfillment, that's when I think there will be a balance, and that balance for me personally is very necessary.
Okay. Okay. It sounds to me like Kareen, you're mentioning engagement with a value system. That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing, Sakshi. I've also noticed that we have a new participant in the group. I welcome Rain to the group. Hi, Rain. I hope you can hear me and Andalib and all of us. In order to continue the point I was making, what has to be true for me to know that I have ambition is when I'm able to put in clear words a goal or an objective. That is when when a goal or an objective starts to dominate my thoughts, my mindset, and it starts to. I'm a very visual thinker. I tend to see things through visuals in my mind. When a picture starts to form in my head, almost like a piece of art, that's when I can sense that I'm entering a state of ambition. And that has happened multiple times in my life for smaller outcomes or objectives, for larger outcomes or objectives. It is very like how Kareen shared and like how Sakshi and a lot of others have shared. It's something I feel kinesthetically in my body. Usually, it's a sensation in the heart region of my body. Where I know I am feeling an engagement with an image in my mind. And the sharper the image of that goal or objective, the stronger I feel my state of ambition becomes. Okay. I think we'll now move on. So the word goal has emerged in many of the points that were shared in today's discussion. And I actually credit Mehek with Mehek seems to have lost her connection with the group, but I credit Mehek with mentioning the word goal when we first started on this topic. I invite all of you to quickly state what a goal is for you. So now for this round, we're all going to share what a goal is for each of us. Just the idea of a goal, the concept of a goal.
May I just say just a couple of things with reference to what you've been discussing so far? Would that
Sure,
be okay?
please.
Yeah. So, I've always thought of myself as ambitious, even though if you ask me how to describe that, I wouldn't quite know how. But
Mhm.
if one equates ambition to goals or things that one works towards, I would certainly say that there's been quite a change in what were priorities when it comes to achievement. I think it changes through, different stages in life.
Yeah.
Your ambitions when you're younger, I would say till you're maybe 30, tend to be more geared towards more material or outward achievements, maybe how one is perceived in the world, more connected to things like
Mhm.
perhaps material wealth or
Mhm.
professional success.
Right.
However, for me, as I kind of got on in life, I have felt that my world, when it comes to ambition, has become quite small. As in, it's not so much about outward, it's more inward now. So now my ambitions are more about, as somebody spoke about being in alignment, and that kind of resonated with me because that's one of my ambitions. I want to be aligned in thought, word, and action.
Hmm.
So I've certainly found that through the years, my ambitions have, in a way, become more centered in myself, internal processes rather than, um, more focus on outward success. I don't know if that makes sense.
So yeah, that's very well put. And you mentioned the concept of alignment of thought, word, and action. So that
Mm,
those are really important identifiers of what has to be true for you to know that you have your ambition in hand. And the nature of ambition has shifted over the years, from your younger years to current times. And how it used to be expanded to the material world, and now you find that it's inward, which you described as small, which I thought was very interesting way of presenting it, and it was very clear for us. Thank you. Um, so, since now your mic is still unmuted, perhaps you could kickstart our next question of what is a goal for you when you think of the word goal.
Oh, you mean in general what a goal means?
Now, what is a
Um,
goal? Yeah.
well, it's for me, it's usually some kind of milestone that I
Mm-hmm.
want to achieve. Sometimes it's very simple. For example,
Mm-hmm.
I'm Priya's French teacher. So, uh, so like one very small goal for me, for example, is to do with educating myself. Every day to spend X amount of time to bettering myself in my subject, so that, I do better with my job. So those are smaller. So I would say for me a goal is some kind of milestone. It can be personal, professional. I am fairly what do you call, analytical when it comes to my own actions. So yeah, I take stock of my behavior. I'm a very regular journaler. So, I tend to go back and see, and then I do usually chalk out every month, milestones that I want to achieve. So, for me, I guess a goal is something very specific that I decide to work towards, and then I should also have a plan to get there.
Right.
It should not, yeah, a goal can't be something up in the air. It has to be, for me, something which has a very clear pathway towards it and a
Excellent.
plan. Hmm.
I like how specific and chunked down you're getting when you talk about a goal for you. Um, any other insights on what a goal is for anybody else? Thank you for bringing these to the table, Maureen. Thank you very much. Um,
Hi, Priya.
great
So
teacher.
for me, I think a goal would mean something that's achievable for starters, something with purpose,
Mhm.
something that could mean a dream or an objective, but it has to be achievable for me.
Okay, okay. Interesting. I love that there's one more aspect you brought to the idea of a goal, that it has to be achievable. So thank you for that. Anybody else would like to bring in more aspects of what a goal represents for them? And I also want to add that Shweta mentioned a purpose, an objective. She mentioned the word objective. Am I correct, Shweta? Was that the word you used?
That's right.
So a milestone, you've come across an objective, you're seeing very specific reference points here. Okay, Sakshi, go for it.
So for me, and I've started seeing it very differently in only the recent times. Earlier, for me, goal was the ultimate thing that I want to achieve, but
Mm-hmm.
now that's not the way I think about it anymore. What I think now is that goal is something that I need to do in the short term to get me closer to my larger purpose.
Okay. Okay.
So these are little things, right? So for example, if somebody's higher purpose is to uh, create a more environmentally sustainable world or contribute to that, then there can be smaller goals like the first thing that I need to do is I need to rethink about how do I reduce the consumption of plastic, for example, and then I
Mhm.
work towards it, I build a plan, etc., etc., I put a timeline to it. But that for me is more like little steps that I need to take to get closer to the larger purpose.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I like how you're mentioning the hierarchy, the short term goal leading to the larger purpose. You mentioned a timeline, a very NLP concept there. Thank you for bringing it up because it's also going to come up later on in this chat. And I love how a sort of a structure is emerging of how goals operate for yourself, and it ties in with what others have shared as well. So thank you for that, Sakshi. For me, there is a specificity that comes up when I think about a goal, and specificity is something that makes a goal. It gets me to go into planning mode. Sakshi, thanks for bringing up the idea of a plan. Um, it's a plan. The planning mode is a state that allows me to get tunnel visioned, to focus, to get strategic, to get organized, and these are all amazing attributes that I connect with when I have a goal in mind. Because and now that we have unpacked a little bit of what a goal is, I want to now bring in another an idea here. Um, we all know now ambition is a state, right? Can one employ goal achievement to tap into the state of ambition? This is something I thought we could explore here. Can one use the achievement of goals to tap into our state of ambition? And perhaps anyone who has ever connected with their ambition in the attainment of a goal can share a little bit about what that's like.
Yeah, I'd like to go that for me, that goal are the primary steps for reaching my ambition.
Yeah.
So taking small steps towards my goal,
Mhm.
reaching me the bigger ambition, bigger purpose. So
So how does working towards a goal activate a state of ambition?
So that's I'm just adding that working first for me, this every day small steps I'm taking towards to
Mhm.
my goal, reaching to my ambition. So small steps, like I have my, as Shakshi said, Rain said, that the goal is that it's a milestone for
Mhm.
them. So these milestone is a pathway to my ambition. So
Right.
I these two things, these two concepts are very related with me.
Mhm.
Those are interlinked.
Mhm.
So for me, this is my truly personal experience. That is taking small step towards my goal,
Mhm.
getting my ambition.
Excellent. So when we work to, so this entire talk, we're going to unpack how we can leverage the process of attaining goals in order to activate our state of ambition. And one of the aspects of attaining a goal is to make sure it is a well formed goal or a well formed objective. So this is a good opportunity for us to identify any well formed goals or objectives that we may have in our life at the moment. For example, in my case, my well formed goal or objective is to get my life coaching business on track, to enable people to, I have the business in my mind, I have my timeline, my strategy, my approach laid out in front of me. I have clarity and I have a very clear definition of my objective or my goal in the form of the website, in the form of all the trimmings and technical attributes of it. So it's a very well formed goal or objective for me. And as I engage with the process of moving towards a specific goal, I feel in touch with my state of ambition, and it shapes me, it shapes my state, it shapes who I am on a daily basis. So, this is an example of how attaining a very well formed goal or objective allows me to connect with my state of ambition. Andalib, in your case, you mentioned a lot of steps. Is there any specific or well formed objective in your life currently that is allowing you to tap into your ambition?
Yes, my goal is to establish an institute for mental
Okay.
health. From there, we can get support, like counseling or training on mental health, and working for the community people. That is
Excellent.
my well from goal.
Excellent. Is anybody else willing to share? It could be a very large, big picture goal. It could be something a lot more small or specific. Is there anybody else who can share a goal that is in their life right now that is very clear, very well defined, and very easy to outline for the group?
Yeah, for me, it is to so I started a clothing label I think a year and a half before the pandemic, and I was growing it, and then the pandemic hit, and it has taken a back seat. So my goal in the coming year is to revive the brand, rebrand, reposition, and yeah, I mean, it is a passion of mine, designing. So just like you, Priya, I have a business plan and a strategy, everything in place. The only thing left is to implement. I would like to say a little bit about, you were talking about, can you use goals to achieve a state of ambition? I feel it's like, the ambition and goal thing is like that, the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel you need to have ambition to outline a goal you want to reach and plan it, and then the process of implementing those steps, baby steps, or whatever steps towards achieving that particular goal, it then feeds your sense of ambition. So it's almost like, if you think of yourself as a train or an electric car, right? To go to, from you charge the car, it gets to a certain place. So you're going from A to Z, you reach B and you recharge, and then it gives you the fillip to go to the next step. So I feel the ambition and goal thing, I feel it's a circle rather than a straight line.
But the advantage of that is, so I think what we're trying to explore here is, let's say we feel like we're out of touch with our state of ambition. Can we
Ah.
leverage the process of achieving a well-formed objective to
Mm-hmm.
rediscover that state of ambition? So I love how you described it as a circle. The
Mm.
beauty of a circle is you can go in either direction. You can go
Yeah.
clockwise, you can go anti-clockwise. And since we're approaching the coming year, and it'll be interesting if we can start the new year with the state of ambition at our
Mm.
fingertips. Can we leverage small specific goals or larger specific goals that we can identify in our life right now to end this year knowing that we have connected with our ambition and which we can
Mm.
carry forward to the next year?
Yeah, my only the only point I was trying to make is that if you don't have a spark of ambition to begin with, you won't set a goal.
But that could be true for you, and it could be true at a certain time. But you never know. The opposite could also be possible. Can so like for instance, for me, when I achieve a specific goal, I am connecting with a state, and that state can spill on into larger goals. It can be an incremental
Agree. I
association with that.
agree. That's
Can
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's something that a lot of schools try to achieve with
Mm.
students, right? Get them to associate with what happens with smaller goal achievement, and by the time the child's nearing the end of their education in high school,
Mm.
they have connected with the larger state of ambition, which they can carry forward
Agree.
to their life.
Agree.
So,
Agree.
so why not happen? It can happen for us as well at this stage in our lives, right? So it can happen right now where we are sitting, me at my desk, and everyone else wherever they're sitting on couches and beds in their homes. So a good place to start just for today, for to kickstart the process in this roundtable. I love that you brought up the clothing business. You even mentioned a timeline. You mentioned a year. Am I correct that you wanted to have it off the ground a year from now? Was that accurate?
No, so I already have the business. I have to basically kickstart it. Well, if there's an ambition, then I want to participate in Lakme Fashion Week in 2024. So that is the goal, and yeah, so there are several things I need to do from now till then to get there. But yes, I have the kickstart is going to be in January, and then then I have milestones for every quarter.
Thank you for that, because you actually preemptively answered the question that was going to come next. How will you know you have achieved your goal?
Hmm.
The detail you brought up just answered that question very quickly. But KP, I see you unmuted yourself. Do you have a specific goal that comes to mind for you that you can achieve within this time frame?
Nothing too specific. If I were to think about life beyond Westbridge, maybe one goal could be becoming a well-known angel investor.
Okay.
But it's not a hard and fast goal. I'm still thinking about it. But
So we are
yeah,
right
I
looking
would say my
for
early ambition. Yeah, sorry.
no, we're right now looking for a well-defined objective.
Yeah,
And um, by well-defined, we mean that you should be able to identify what it would look like for you, what it would feel like for you, what would be the sight, sound, smells, taste like.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
we outlined a fashion show in 2024. So there was some detail that started to emerge for her over there. And a lot of us are stating pretty large goals like businesses taking off the ground, right? There is absolutely room at this table for smaller goals too, anything that is not so large scale. So I think you mentioned a business name there, right? Westbridge. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I think I think my the point about ambition earlier was maybe building Westbridge into a very large, well recognized business,
right.
and beyond that, haven't really thought about something specific. So
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Nazneen, would you like to unmute your mic in case you're able to and share anything very specific in terms of goals that you might have at the moment? It could be large, it could be small, but it should be very well defined.
Hi, thank you so much. So yes, to quickly catch up on the previous conversation and coming to your question. After
Yeah.
that, so I have been in a transition from employment to being self-employed, and right now, and that itself took its own sweet time, and I gave it its own sweet time. And I just about when I was thinking of going back to a job, like just yesterday, this happened that my friend asked me, "Well, what is it that you want to do?"
Hmm.
And we decided that he'll help me to make a website. So that's one goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's very well defined. You're
Okay.
talking about making a website. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
yeah, that's good. And this is for your own business. You mentioned something about transitioning to becoming self-employed. Am I accurate?
Yes, absolutely, Priya.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And how will you know you have achieved this goal? What comes to mind when I ask
Correct.
how you know? Yeah.
True, true, true. So I think the the walk of making the website, then getting the clients, things like that,
Mm-hmm,
and putting myself more out there, trusting myself
mm-hmm.
to be able to do this. So the entire roundtable chat is coming to a 360 for me right now.
Lovely. Lovely. That's good. That's good. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
And and welcome to the table. So we have sort of touched lightly upon how the specific goals that are coming to mind. We have talked about how you will know you've achieved the goal. Thank you so much, Nazneen. Just to chunk it down even further, is your goal self-initiated? or is it dependent on an external variable such as coincidence or another person? This is something to explore in order to flesh out this well defined goal. So, is your goal self initiated or is it dependent on external variables? So, in my case, I mentioned that I want to get my life coaching business running full steam ahead as soon as possible. And almost every iota of my energy, every bit of my mind space has been dedicated to making this manifest. I have my website up and running. I have gotten clients on board. Um, and it is it self-initiated? It definitely is, because the reason I'm a life coach is because I have experienced life coaching as a transformative part of my own life journey. Through life coaching, as a client myself, once upon a time, I reached my next level. I tapped into resources I didn't know I had until recently. I found I expanded my awareness of who I am and what matters to me. And I feel very complete now that I know who I am and what I want to do and what I'm passionate about. And all the stuff that has manifested in my life in terms of my goal, my very specific goal of intentionalcoaching.online is proof that this goal is, it's connected me with my sense of ambition, right? Um, I would love to check in with Rain, with Nazneen, with Andalib, with KP, whether they can sense, they can examine if their goal is self-initiated or if it is dependent on external variables such as coincidence or another person.
I would say yes and yes.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, could
It's
you?
a self-initiated goal,
Mhm.
but because it is it's a client-facing business and it requires, yeah, so there are dependencies for sure.
Yeah,
And there are dependencies, there are circumstances that could impact the business positively or negatively. I mean, like I told you, right? I mean, my business actually was doing really well, and then COVID hit.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that impacted the business, right? So even though my plan was very clear, I had exhibitions, pop-ups, etc. lined up, but they all just went away. So yeah, so for me the answer is yes and yes. I think both are true at the same time, for me at least.
okay. Explain the first yes. You said yes and yes. You unpacked the outer yes. What about the inner yes?
The I would say, I'm frankly, my life is it's ridden with goals. This is a big goal, but then I also have 20 other smaller goals. In those cases which are more focused on, my own, self improvement in various ways, those are completely self initiated, and then there is not so much impact from the world.
Yeah,
But
but
when it comes,
let's return to the first goal that you mentioned, the clothing brand, right? You
yeah.
mentioned yes and yes,
Hmm.
which is a very great way to present it to us. And you mentioned that it's dependent on external variables. My business
Yes.
definitely dependent on external variables as well, like most
Hmm.
businesses are. But
Hmm.
I'm curious to know more about what about the other yes, the internal variables in connection to your business. Uh,
When you say internal, you mean the ability to keep the effort going, things like that?
Yeah, so my question was talking about whether your goal is self-initiated, right? Apart from being dependent on external variables, you said yes to it also being self-initiated.
Yes, it is. Definitely.
So could you unpack a little more about that? What is that like?
Okay, but before I do that, will you just explain to me a little bit about what you mean by self-initiated?
see, the business in itself started because it wasn't there to begin with. You are the source of whatever has happened with regard to the business, right? It wouldn't have
Absolutely.
happened, didn't exist. So, what aspect of who you are, or
Hmm.
what defines you, or what drives you, manifested in order to get this business to manifest in the first place?
Ah, okay, that's it. Okay. Now I understand it better.
Mhm.
So I would say that this was something that was waiting to happen. I've always had a very creative side to me where I've always enjoyed, just creativity, whether it comes to writing or design, etc.
Mhm.
But at some point in time, I, made the choice to work in a very non creative space, right? I worked in management for years and years. And when I came back to India, I could have continued to do that, but I felt very strongly that I want to at least explore the creative side of me,
Mhm. Mhm.
and see if I can kind of build it into also a living.
Right.
So, was it Nazneen who spoke about the transition from being employed to self employed?
Yes. Yes.
So I went through that as well. I worked for years in the corporate space, and then I decided that I wanted to work for myself. So what was, I guess it was the desire to also manifest the creative side of me, which I had not had the opportunity to explore through my professional career, except in small ways.
That is
So I guess.
that's a beautiful share. There. Thank you so much. Thank you. And we'll now, in the interest of time, since we have now unpacked all these aspects of the goal that we're moving towards, that it is, we have identified how it is self-initiated. We have identified external variables. We have identified a lot of aspects of awareness regarding these goals. The next question is very simple, more like a business question. Uh, do you have the internal and external resources at hand in order to achieve these specific goals?
I would say internally, probably
Mm-hmm.
70%.
Mm-hmm.
Externally, I definitely don't have everything that I need.
I see.
There are resources that I still need. So I would say in both internally and externally, there is some way to go.
Right, right. And what about Andalev and Nazneen? Do you have internal resources? Do you have external resources to back the achievement of your goal?
Yeah, Priya, thank you. So internal resources are very important for me because getting the external resources, I think the readiness is more important. So I have my internal resources for reaching my goal, and as well as seeking the external resources, because when I have my internal resources, I'm full, I'm confident. So
Mm,
it's easy to and easy to seek the external resources also. So external resources is very tangible, but when I'm confident about my internal resources,
mm.
I'm confident that I will get it also.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Yeah. Nazneen, since you brought up such a specific outcome of your website, yeah, what comes to mind when you think about your internal and your external resources?
Absolutely, Priya. I think sharing it with all of you has, I am again and again committing and recommitting to this transition that
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to cement it, and I that's what the previous question that you asked, that the state of ambition with the goal. So if I have to attempt that question right now, or it actually came to me that I have to be keep committing to this goal of transitioning and cementing the transition by being in my state of ambition. So thank you
Mm,
so much.
Okay. Okay. Cool. This topic, why I have brought up the internal, external resources, it's because these are all aspects that define what in NLP we call a well-formed objective. And the more we work on these specific goals or objectives, whether they're small scale, whether they're large scale, when we tick off all these aspects in the list, the more defined the goal, the more likely the achievement of the goal is. And this is, like I said, just a way of engaging our focus on the external and internal factors that are needed to achieve a well formed outcome. And the larger, part of the strategy is to connect with our state of ambition. Um, and now that we've covered the more practical aspects of achieving your goal, we'll now move on to what I think Shweta had brought up the concept of the timeline, right? And I invite Andalib now to unpack the concept of a defined timeline in order to achieve the well formed outcome or the objective.
Thank you, Priya, and thank you all. Thank you, Rain, Nazdin, and Mehek. We have all lots of participants with us, and they shared a lot with us, and helping us to unpacking the structure of ambition. And today we brought that up concept timeline because this is very similar. When we are talking about the goal, we're talking about the milestone, the specific structure, specific plan, objective, and purpose. So that is related. Everything is related with timeline, and you are already shared that the goal should be achievable. When something is achievable, we require to stay in the timeline. We require to know how much time or how much time we require to reach that goal. So in that phase, I'm curious to know: is there any time in your life, in your past, that you already achieved your goal, and how was that for you?
In terms of learning a language has been to be able to speak French when I travel. So I have pulled off conversations in French in Paris whenever I have gone to French speaking areas in Mauritius where people speak French. And I think those were moments where I felt that whatever energy I put into trying to just speak French came in handy. And the goal still continues because I'm still studying the language today, and my goal is to be able to converse fluently, even more fluently in French in the coming year. Yeah.
Wonderful, and your energy is reflecting in your voice. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rain.
So, like I mentioned, I worked in the corporate space 19 years, and I worked in implementation, which is all about setting goals and achieving. So, lots of professional goals, and I don't think there is whether it is getting a client to sign up, um, or basically achieve a solutioning goal. Um, so, for example, when I was working in Indonesia, we built a huge reward platform for Nestle. It was a very complicated project, lots of setbacks, lots of changes, rejigging. It took us almost 6 months to get to where we wanted to get. And yeah, I mean, the just the sense of achievement. I have been brought up where achievement was it was stressed very heavily. That life was about whatever you do your best at it, and at least you try your best to achieve the goal. So I would say the sense of achievement is it boosts you like nothing else does. It gives you so much more confidence, and when you are more confident, then that feeds into your ambition as well. Knowing that you have done something is the best proof that you can do it again and do it even better. The organization that I worked for, I headed implementation for APAC for a loyalty marketing company.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you look at a company like Nestle, the project we did for them was for, um, baby formula after the first year.
Right.
Now, uh, the main competition for Nestle was this other company, Danone, which also, is in the same line of business. So they were the market was divided 70% Danone and 30% Nestle.
Right.
They wanted to grow their market share. 1% growth is equal to $1 billion in
Wow.
Indonesia.
Right.
So, so the basically they came to us saying we want to grow our market share
Right.
by 0.5% every year, and they wanted to do it via loyalty. So my problem was to build a solution that would help them achieve their goal. Right? Their goal was to increase market share. So what we did is we built a platform geared towards Gen Z mothers.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we had to build a whole ecosystem from a point engine to a information website, offline programs. So very complex ecosystem of triggers to increase sales through various means so that Nestle could achieve its ambition of increasing its market share by 0.5% per year, which is equal to $500 million for them.
All right. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and
That's
everything had to be in Bahasa Indonesia and English. So I had a big team working on so there were lots of moving parts. There were lots of problems. For example, we built the whole solution, and Nestle Australia refused to let us implement it because they said that the platform that we had used did not agree with their security concerns and wasn't told us to before we had to scrap the whole program and rebuild it again. So
right.
there were lots of so for me, I think when you say, how did you feel when the goal was achieved? For me, the fact that it was so complex,
Right.
and despite all the different issues that we faced, from not being able to find the right person to just being the poor cousin of the big company in the US, where we couldn't really afford a lot of the technology that existed within the organization, and we had to build all that. So it was one of the most complex projects I've ever worked on. But I think the complexity and the hardships actually made the victory much, much sweeter. So for me, I think that is what I enjoyed the most. Even though in the moment it was frustrating, but overall, I think all those things made the victory even sweeter. In brief, I would say the more difficult a goal is to achieve, the more wonderful it is when you do get there.
Learning, whatever it is the sector of business, those are the goals. That goal we already achieved. That has already a criteria structure. Wonderful. Nazis, would you like to add something that goal you achieved already in your previous day?
Yeah, actually, it was a website itself. I was a part of the learning enablement team, and we used to create learning infrastructure in terms of, website was one of it, and I picked up on UI design principles, and I made a prototype. I ran it past by the approver, the L&D manager, and I ran it past by all the different team members who would be taking it forward and who would be providing critical evaluation and positive criticism for, okay, what can be added to the prototype, and is the prototype good to go? So thanks for the question. I think I can do it for myself too.
Okay, thank you. So now we have our goal present in present. Now we will start a small process and thinking about our present state, the present goal already we have. And as we are thinking about our present state in this brainstorming game, we named Priya and I named this game that is Superman and Wonder Woman game. Whatever you like, you can think about yourself that you are Superman, or you can think yourself as Wonder Woman. Okay. If you are moving, I would like to request you sit in a very comfortable position so that you can do this small exercise with us. Okay. As you all are ready, practice it. Okay. Whenever you are in gallery or you are invisible to listen to us, I'm requesting you to sit down in a comfortable place and just take some deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out, and think about your present state, the goal you have, the specific goal you have in your business life, or your personal life, or your professional life. And as you have your goal, specific goal in the present, just look at yourself. Who are you now? How do you feel, listen, and see? Give concentration in yourself. What is happening within you? How is that goal for you now? Now, as you are all Superman and Wonder Woman, just go back to your past. The past memorable achievement, you already achieved your goal in that time. Fly, fly, and fly, and go to your past. And as you are in your past and you achieve your goal, experience that is happening right now within you. The achievement in your personal life, in your professional life, or in business, whatever it is, big, small, any kind of achievement. Just experience that moment. See, feel, and hear. And experience that fully. The energy, as you say, you have that energy. The struggle, you make that successful. The moment you create the website. And observe yourself from top to bottom. Who are you? What's important for you to look like? How to feel, talk, and experience. Now grab all the resources within you. Grab it as much as you can and take it and fly again and come to the present. Grab all the resources tightly within your inner resources. You are now in present. Now take one step deeper. With the resources you have right now, what is that for you now? How is it integrated with you? Who are you now? Just experience it deeply. Now, every Superman and Wonder Woman, look forward. Look the timeline you have in front of you, your future, your bigger ambition, your purpose, the bigger purpose, your website, your fashion show, whatever it is. Now fly, just come to the future. You have 6 months in front of you. You're flying towards that 6 months. Coming New Year, and grabbing all your resources within you, just make a plan that in this coming 6 months, how will you move on? What is the bigger purpose you have to achieve your ambition, your bigger goal? You're flying on your timeline, future timeline for 6 months. Allow yourself that every thoughts, planning coming out in your mind, allow them. Merge with them. Now go one step deeper. Fly more 6 months as you are planning for 1 year. Fly, fly, and fly. And let all the resources, thoughts come into you. And grab all those as much as you can. You're flying towards your future, your bigger goal, towards your purpose, and towards to the future. And grabbing all your resources from future to present. Come back to present. You're resourceful from your past as well as your future. And as you're resourceful, you're planning, you are observing yourself now. Observe yourself from your head to toe. See, feel, and hear. Allow yourself to take one initiative towards your bigger ambition. Just think 1 or 2 steps you can take from today, from this Clubhouse session with us. 1 or 2 initiatives which may help you to lead your ambition successfully. If you find your 1 or 2 ways, I'm welcoming you all. Come back and join with us again. Thank you. And if you're ready, please share your thoughts and your experience. Priya, Rain, Nazneen, do you have anything to share?
Allowed me to connect with resources that I was able to identify within myself from the previous moments of success that I'd experienced in learning my language and learning the language of my choice, French, and gathering it towards achieving the outcome that I have in mind. That is my life coaching business. So I thought that was a very nice way of employing timelines to my advantage. So I really appreciate that, Anjali. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Wonderful. Wonderful. Nazneen?
Thank you so much. And the reason why I come to these chats is to refresh my NLP. And this was pure genius. The way you took the anxiety timeline, gave the perceptual position of past, present, and turned it into a resourceful superpower. I am a fan. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazneen. Thank you. Thank you that you could relate with this. Very well, thank you. Rain, is there anything you would like to share?
No, I thought it was a very interesting exercise, and I think it's something I would like to employ myself to do regularly because I think it's very centering.
Could you explain a little more about centering? Like when you mentioned centering, what was that?
Basically, that when you're focusing on resources in the past, present, and future, it kind of grounds you and centers you in terms of it does away with all the dross and the nonsense that comes into your head whenever you're trying to work towards something. Voices, there
Yeah.
are always negative voices, right? So this kind of practice helps you center on the essence of what you're trying to achieve and why you are convinced that you can achieve this particular goal because you've had successes in the past, you have resources in the present. So it only requires the application of all that you've learned, all the strengths and resources that you've gathered over the times. So I feel it is a centering and grounding kind of practice, which kind of it reinforces your faith in yourself.
It's amazing. And what you and me have shared, and a lot of the aspects of the exercise have actually evoked two major NLP beliefs of excellence. These are cardinal facts of NLP that we assume are a given, that are a fact of the way we operate as human beings. The first NLP belief of excellence that comes to mind is people have all the resources within them. Those resources go nowhere. They're always there. Everyone has everything that is ever required within them. And the second thing is, you have achieved success with outcomes in the past. All of us have. And that, if what you perceive in the future as obstacles or complications or failures, those are not failures. They're feedback, right? So in NLP, the word failure doesn't exist. In fact, the word obstacle doesn't exist. There is no failure. There's only feedback and there's only learning. We have the structures of achieving goals in us always. We don't fail. We learn. It is what happens from the perspective of NLP to all of us. And bringing this to the well formed objective allows us to associate with ambition. And the more we associate with all these aspects of the state, with achieving smaller goals or larger goals, the more we reinforce the state of ambition within us, so that it becomes a larger force that defines our life and the way we live and the way we operate and who we are and what we can do beyond ourselves for a larger purpose. And thank you so much, Andilip, for putting the cherry on this cake of exploration today regarding of what ambition is for all of us, how we can use simple goal attainment of well-formed objectives, and the timeline that Andilip just demonstrated with us, a timeline procedure of drawing a connection between our past capabilities, our present state, and our future ambition, how we can bring it all together into a cohesive whole that never lets us down. So, Andalab, I really appreciate you bringing in the cherry on our cake of associating with that ambitious state today. So, thanks again.
Thank you, Priya. And at the end of the session, I'm really curious to know the takeaway, Priya, what we are going to take from these flowers.
Well, like I said, there is no failure. There's only feedback. There's only learning. We have all the resources within us always, and bringing all this to the forefront of our awareness, which is one of the best aspects of NLP, drawing stuff from our unconscious into our conscious awareness, and doing exercises like the timeline exercise that you just demonstrated, being aware, doing the ecology check that Kareen had mentioned earlier of whether our values are in alignment with our goals in life. Touching upon all these in our day to day functioning keeps us in touch with the state of ambition, which is a state that allows us to operate at a high level of excellence at all times. So, this was our focus for today's talk, the roundtable chat. And Anubhav and I thought this would be a wonderful thing to, bring up now that we're entering the last month of this year.
Yeah.
We should take all these reflections within us into the coming year. And I really appreciate everyone who joined us today and who, brought so many of their values, their ideas, their perspectives to the table. Thank you so much, Nazneen, for that. I really appreciate, that back at you. And thank you, Rain, for joining us. And thank you to all the other participants to our discussion. This was such a amazing topic to explore today, and we really appreciate how enjoyable you made it for all of us and how enlightening this has been for all of us. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Priya.
Thanks,
Thank you so
Priya.
much.
Thanks, Andale.
Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, everyone. This is so
Yeah,
rich.
thanks everyone. This was really very interesting. Priya, I'm looking forward to the next round table.
Awesome. Take care, everybody. And we'll meet you in 2 weeks with the next topic.